Helen Doe, Kalama, Washington. On May 14, 1991, there was a tractor-trailer collision on I-5 in Cowlitz County, Washington. The driver was headed to Portland after dropping off the contents of his truck as scheduled. It was then that his truck rear-ended another vehicle, pulling out onto Interstate 5 near Kalama. As a result, the passenger and the driver perished. They were able to trace the fuel receipts of the driver from Missouri on May 7, 1991, forward through Kansas, Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, Idaho, and Oregon, before arriving in Washington on the day of the accident. The trucker was, of course, identified, and those who knew him said he was in the habit of picking up hitchhikers. But if he picked her up, no one knows where he picked her up from. She was described as being an indigenous woman who was 20 to 29 and around 5 foot to 5'4" and around 110 to 130 pounds. She had brown hair and her eye color was unknown. She had high cheekbones and severe scoliosis. Her curvature was severe enough, curving to the right, that it was outwardly obvious. She had on what was described as a black cowboy vest and a gray top that may have had pink in it. Cases like this are hard because, let's say she was picked up in Utah. She's out hitchhiking anyway, so that doesn't mean she's from Utah. So she honestly could be from anywhere. Her family would be looking for a missing person born around the years 1962 to 1971. That would mean her peers would be around mid to late 50s and early 60s. They exhumed her in 2014 to obtain DNA and do the reconstruction as to what she might look like. They successfully obtained DNA, but the kind they obtained in 2014 is for comparing two different sets of DNA. It's not the type used for genetic genealogy today. So if you're missing someone, it's really important to submit your DNA to NamUs. How to do that is explained in the description below this video. Helen Doe has gone unidentified for 31 years. The Hillsborough Jane Doe, 1990, Hillsborough, North Carolina. It was September 19, 1990, when a woman was found along the eastbound lanes of Interstate 40 in Hillsborough, North Carolina. Thankfully, a cleanup crew was working alongside the interstate as she was located 15 feet down an embankment and on the other side of a guardrail. As a result, she couldn't have been spotted from the road, which was probably the point. This was in the area east of the New Hope Church exit. Some people would call in to say that they saw her walking along I-85 near North Carolina Highway 62, near the Ramada Inn. There were also reports that she might have been seen at a truck stop in Alamance County. It was determined she was around 5'3" to 5'5" and around 110 pounds. They don't know if her hair was naturally blonde or if it was chemically done, which is probably why you see various colors of hair in the recreations and what she might look like. I see one reference that suggests it was dyed strawberry blonde, and others say it was frosted. And frosted is basically bleaching where it's pulled through a cap with a crochet hook. I know for me, my hair is pretty dark brown, and I had almost white blonde hair in some areas. And especially if someone had it bleached more than once, it got lighter and lighter because they couldn't control which parts of your hair was being pulled out. So if someone's missing her, she might look different here than she was when they last saw them. But this kind of goes for all of the unnamed does. Some things can change, or they might gauge wrong as to what color something was. So even if something doesn't match with a missing person report, doesn't necessarily mean it absolutely couldn't be that person. She was either mid-teens to her mid-20s, and she had a 3-inch surgical scar on her lower abdomen, which appears to be an appendix scar. She had good dental health, and 3 of her teeth had fillings. She was wearing an oversized pink sweatshirt, seen here, with 3 cartoon bunnies shown on the front. The police tried to track down where the shirt originated from, but they couldn't come up with a place. They did a talk screen on her remains, and it was clean. It is noted that she had a thin, yellow metal ring on her left hand ring finger, as well as the bracelet seen here. Her COD was manual asphyxiation. Weirdly, she had clean socks and no shoes. Because she clearly hadn't been walking around in those socks, it's thought that maybe the person took her shoes as a souvenir. Family and friends would be looking for someone likely born from 1965 to 1976. Her peers would be around 47 to 58 years old in 2023, missing someone who disappeared from their lives in 1990 or earlier. A really disturbing element to this case is that it states she was cremated and buried at sea. While obviously no one had been identified using genetic DNA yet and genealogy, they knew DNA existed, so this just makes it that much harder now to solve. I'm not sure I understand cremating someone who hasn't been identified yet. But then again, they also lose where some of these people are too. So DNA isn't always a given. There are two components to a case like this, obviously. One, who she was, and two, who did it. In this case, the police noted there was possibly a link between other cases where the perpetrator was a man who drove a taxi. That man was arrested in Guilford County a few months later in 1990 after taking the lives of people in a similar way in that general location. Shortly after, police officers tried to interview him, which he refused to allow. He took his own life. So there's no way to know for sure if he is the perpetrator in this case. If they found DNA of the person who did this, that's not noted either. They've compared her DNA or dental films to 47 missing women, so far ruling out all of them. It isn't specifically stated, but I suspect that because she was cremated, that someone is going to need to come forward for a comparison. Her DNA is sitting in CODIS right now, and if anyone's missing a loved one, they should contact NamUs, which is in charge of these cases, and submit your DNA. There are laws in place that have to do with this. If anyone has any idea what happened to her, please call the number on your screen. The Randolph County Jane Doe, Randolph County, North Carolina. In this case, her skull was found in a creek bed near a railroad track embankment in Randolph County, North Carolina in 1997. No other remains were found. It doesn't help either that this is one of the worst creations that I probably posted on here. Hopefully a new one will be done with newer technology at some point. They believe she was a black female from 30 to 49, and she had numerous untreated cavities, and her gums were mildly receded, which can just happen with age, isn't necessarily based on dental health or her situation at the time. Although, of course, it's possible that she was homeless and wasn't able to receive dental care. Based on the assumption that she passed the same year she was found, which was May of 1997, she would have been born 1948 to 1967. But of course, had she been there longer and they're wrong, it would shift downward from those years. She does have DNA located in CODIS, so if someone possibly related to her sees this, you can upload your own DNA to that database. The Randolph County Jane Doe has gone unidentified for 25 years. As always, thank you so much for watching. The current goal for the channel is 20,000 subscribers. Please consider subscribing and hitting the bell so you don't miss new episodes. Thank you so much to everybody commenting. Even with just an emoji, it really has made a big difference. Without it, there isn't a channel, so thank you guys so much. Take care of yourselves and each other.